Hi there viewers and welcome to the Repair It, Don't Wreck It channel. Today we're working on a HILAND propane powered patio heater. While I was visiting a friend of mine, he asked me to have a look at his patio heater, which he could not start. After checking to make sure there was propane in the tank, the valve was on and there was spark, I decided to remove the head and work on it at home. I didn't have my camera with me, so when I got home, I showed you the head removal procedure on my patio heater. First, turn off the valve on the propane tank. Next, unscrew the regulator. As you can see, the hose and the regulator go up inside the tube to the head. I would remove the reflector first by unscrewing the 3 wing nuts. Then, remove the 4 bolts that attach the head to the tube, as you can see in the frame. After they are out, you can remove the whole head, including the flexible hose as an assembly. Now that the head is on the bench, you can see the 3 studs that attach the reflector using the wing nuts. You need to remove the perforated stainless steel shield that is attached to the head. This will give you access to all of the workings. There are 8 Phillips head screws that hold it on. Be careful, as there's a lot of sharp edges and you can get a pretty nasty cut if you're not careful. Once the screws are out, removing the screen may be a little tight, requiring a bit of wiggling to break it free. Once the perforated screen is removed, you will have access to the safety switch, the gas valve, thermocouple, and pilot tube. Disconnect the fuel hose from the head. Here I'm using an adjustable wrench and holding back with a pair of mini pliers. The first thing you want to do is to make sure the regulator is functioning. The easiest way was to submerge the hose in some soapy water and turn the gas valve on. You can see that bubbles are forming, so I'm confident that the regulator is allowing enough gas flow to light the pilot. Next, I wanted to make sure the safety switch is functioning. It is called a dump valve. If the unit falls over, it will turn off the fuel supply. I'm using a multimeter to check for continuity. The head is in the vertical position, so I'm expecting continuity, which we do. Up to this point, everything seems to be working fine. Now, I need to see if the pilot tube is allowing gas to flow to the igniter. It is that copper tube about a 1/16 of an inch in diameter. I'm using a combination wrench to disconnect the brass nut holding the pilot tube to the main valve. Make sure you use the right size wrench because the nut is made from soft brass. You could easily round off the edges if you're not careful. Remove the pilot tube. Take your time and wiggle it out to avoid bending and damaging it. You can see on the flared end of this tube there is some pipe dope from the original installation when the unit was manufactured. I believe this was the problem. As my friend said, it was not running properly from day one. I'm spraying some carb cleaner at both ends to loosen up any debris. As you can see, the orifice is clear now. The opening is very small. It would not take much for it to get blocked. Okay, let's put it back together. Tighten the pilot tube nut by hand first. Once you get a few threads started, you can take your wrench and snug it up. Don't overdo it because you could break the flared end off the copper tubing. Tighten the pilot tube in the sleeve. Once the screw makes contact with the copper tube, stop. It's kind of one of those feel things. The screw's purpose is to hold the pilot tube in place so it doesn't slip out of the sleeve. If you over tighten it, you'll squeeze the pilot tube too much and the gas will not be allowed to flow through. Attach the fuel hose to the connector. It's the reversal of the removable. Make sure everything is clean where the joints mate. Once everything is tight, turn on the gas and soak test all connections, checking for leaks, including the pilot tube connection to the main gas valve. Everything looks good. Now we can put the perforated screen back on. You're going to have to squeeze it and work it a bit to get it to align with the holes in the head. Put the screws in halfway before you snug them all up. This will make it a lot easier to get everything into place. Now you can put on the perforated cover plate. There's 2 screws that hold it on the bottom. Once these are in place, you can tighten all the screws at the top and bottom of the perforated screen. I've turned the lights out to check the spark in the lower left corner. Now that the pilot tube has been cleared, it will light. Opening the valve turns on the main burner. Now I'm closing the valve from high fire to low fire, and then I'm going to go back down to the pilot. I repeat the test again, and then we'll turn off the unit from the controls on the head. I'm satisfied that this is working properly now. Back to my friend's place to put everything back together. Once the reflector is on, you can snake the regulator and hose down the tube. Take your time. It should slide in without any problems. Once you get the head on, align the 4 bolt holes, making sure the control panel on the head is facing the same side where the door is located to get access to the propane bottle. Plus the instructions are also on the same side. Now we're in the home stretch. Start the bolts by hand, being careful not to cross-thread them. Once they're all in, go ahead and tighten them up. Connect the regulator to the propane bottle. Once it's connected, rotate the bottle and orient the hose so it's not kinked and the door can be closed. It's a little fiddly, but it'll work. Not the greatest design in my opinion. Now, turn on the valve and double check to make sure everything is working. When the heater's not in use, I like to turn off the valve at the bottle. This repair was fun to do, not too complicated and no parts required. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and as always, repair it, don't wreck it. Thanks for watching.